And we're excited right now to have Louisiana writer Tyler Bridges with us. He's the co-author of a book with Jeremy Alford called Long Shot. It's about the 2015 governor's race between John Bel Edwards and David Vitter, and we're so excited to have you here with us today. Let's get right into it. 2015's election was something, we haven't seen before. It was just a lot of twists and turns. Can you go right into it? Why is this such perfect material for a book?
It was really one of those classic Louisiana elections, as we use the subtitles, an epic Louisiana election where John Bel Edwards started out the race. Very few people gave him a chance, and he just kind of soldiered on facing David Vitter, who was the heavy favorite.
Right.
And what Jeremy Alford and I do is tell the behind-the-scenes story of how John Bel Edwards ultimately triumphed. So you know the outcome, you know who wins the race, but we try to put the reader in the room with behind-the-scenes details just to make it as a story you want to turn the page to find out what happens next.
I'm sure it is a fascinating story.
And it really is, and when we dive into it, we talk about those behind-the-scenes details. I don't want to give too much away, but can you give us like a little sneak preview, a little taste about some things that the general public might not know about?
Yeah, we talk about the worst day of the campaign for John Bel Edwards. It was just right before the election where there had been the bombing by the terrorists in France, and how his campaign almost came unglued as Vitter tried to seize this right at the end of the campaign to try to turn it around by attacking John Bel Edwards and President Obama. And so, and I interviewed Governor Edwards about that story, all of his top aides. I literally put you inside the room as the campaign is fearing that they're going to become unravel, and that was a story obviously they could not tell at that time, but we do tell it now in Long Shot.
Can you tell us a little bit about others that you had interviewed in writing the book?
So I interviewed Governor Edwards repeatedly for the book, also the First Lady, Donna Edwards. I even interviewed the guy who led the brass band that burst into the Monteleone Hotel ballroom when John Bel Edwards won. And Jeremy, my co-author, interviewed then Lieutenant Governor Darden Scott Angel, who didn't win. He interviewed the top aides to Vitter. So it's really a complete picture of just this amazing, as you said, twists and turns in an election that very few people could have predicted the outcome.
Louisiana is definitely no stranger when it comes to strange politics. Why is it that you feel the state really lends itself to just interesting source material, I guess?
I think that we have interesting elections in Louisiana because the people are interesting. And we have fun elections in Louisiana because the people are fun. This is my third book on Louisiana politics. The first was called The Rise of David Duke. The second was Bad Bet on the Bayou, The Rise of Gambling in Louisiana, and the Fall of Governor Edwin Edwards. And Long Shot, I think, is a good part of the tradition. I'm really thrilled to be able to do this with Jeremy, and again, tell this sort of story where we really take the reader in the room, behind the scenes. The early accounts tell us that it reads like a novel.
And tell us a little bit about James Corbell and Mary Maryland. How did all that come about?
We had an editor for the book, a terrific journalist in New Orleans named Clancy Dubose. And Clancy is friends with both James, who comes from the left, and Mary, who comes from the right. And so they both wrote forwards, and they offer one view from the left and one view from the right.
I wish I'd been part of that interview.
Yeah. They're really interesting and fun people.
Yes, indeed.
Just in his first 90 days, Governor Edwards experienced a lot of hardships right off the bat, whether it was with the flooding, the deficit, whatever the case might be. He walked into an absolute storm. How do you feel going forward his governorship is doing?
One of the things that we bring out in Long Shot is a true deep portrait of John Bel Edwards that fully has not been told before, about the challenges that he faced at West Point. Even the first day, a lot of would-be cadets quit, and he stayed on. What it took for him to become an Army Ranger, and this is a very tough guy. Now, he's a Democrat in a Republican state, but I think people need to totally understand, and they will get this from Long Shot, you don't easily underestimate John Bel Edwards.
Excellent. So I know a lot of our viewers will be excited to hear about and read this book. So where can they find it? How can they get hands on their own copy?
Great question.
I bet so.
So Jeremy and I are taking orders directly ourselves, LouisianaLongShot.com. That's one word, LouisianaLongShot.com, and we'll autograph it. And then we're going to do a signing today at the Books A Million. We'll be there at noon. I'm not sure if the books have arrived to the bookstore, but we will be there, and at least we'll have our own copies. If anybody wants to come there, we'll be happy to sign a book for folks.
That'd make a great Christmas gift, wouldn't it?
I think it would make a great Christmas gift, too.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We have more Good Day Senlaw coming up just after this. I want to remind you guys that's noon at Books A Million.